on the way to give a State of the Union address, this was not a great headline for that day. Quote, Atlanta Fed shock sounds Trump session warning. The Federal Reserve Bank in Atlanta forecasting yesterday that the U.S. economy, American GDP, is shrinking right now at an annualized rate of 2.8%, minus 2.8%. Now, that is just one forecast. It's an early forecast. But, Trump session is not a great headline for a President Trump on the day of his first big speech. But here's another one from today, the morning after his big speech. Quote, private employers added just 77,000 jobs in February, far below expectations. And again, this is just a forecast, in this case from private industry. We don't get official hiring numbers until the monthly official jobs report comes out the day after tomorrow. But 77,000 is less than half the new jobs that were created last month, and it's half of what Wall Street has been expecting. It's all very worrying economic news, and it comes on top of Wall Street posting its worst loss of the year this week on Monday, when Trump announced that he was going through with his tariff plan on Canada and Mexico and China. Some of those losses in the markets were regained today after Trump had second thoughts and walked some of that back. But barely 6 weeks into this second Trump presidential term, economic indicators are blinking red in response to Trump's action as president. But they're called economic indicators for a reason. Measurements like these, measurements like the jobs report and GDP and economic growth, all these things, they're supposed to indicate what is going on in the economy. They're supposed to help the public and businesses and policymakers understand what is happening with the economy. What if they could just change those indicators, though? Turn the lights off so they didn't blink at all, red or otherwise. What if they could just change what these numbers mean and whether they indicate anything real about the economy? When I said at the top of the show I had a big warning for you, this is what it's about. Over the weekend on Fox News, Trump's newly appointed Commerce Secretary, Howard Lutnick, floated the idea of changing the way we calculate GDP in this country. Lutnick says he wants to take government spending out of the equation. Just take that out and say that's not part of it, which would, of course, obscure the effects of everything Trump does in government, let alone his top campaign donor who's given free rein to do whatever he wants to the government. It also turns out Elon Musk, the president's top campaign donor, is into this idea. On Friday, he himself posted online that we should change the way we calculate America's economic growth, America's GDP. Never mind the pesky concerns of economists about interference in the federal data. We should just calculate it in a different way, a way that suits them better. In the category of watching what they do and not what they say, though, here's something that Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has just done. The Wall Street Journal was first to report that Secretary Lutnick has now disbanded 2 advisory committees whose job it is to make sure that the economic data from the federal government are accurate. An expert who worked on one of those now disbanded committees tells the Wall Street Journal that their work, quote, goes to the essential transparency of these statistical agencies. When you remove that transparency, then that diminishes trust. Already just 6 weeks in, Trump has taken a number of actions that have potentially disastrous economic consequences in this country, and in many ways, the country is already feeling it. If they are going to cook the books so that economic indicators like unemployment numbers and economic growth and whether or not we're in a recession or a depression just don't mean anything anymore because they've recalculated them with special Trump numbers, what does that mean for our ability to know the truth about what's going on, and what does it mean for us economically? We'll ask somebody who knows next.